This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from September 12th to September 14th of 2025. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Okay, now listen, the US Men's National Team players were not the only ones performing abroad this weekend. We also had the greatest boy band of all time, an American boy band, the Backstreet Boys, performing abroad in São Paulo, in Brazil. And I was able to watch it on TV, and let me tell you, it was really good. They performed tremendously throughout the full 90 minutes. They were very good, even though they're very old. Some of them are even older than Tim Ream. But they were incredible, and once again, they showed us why prime to prime, they're better than that British boy band called the Beatles. Yes, I will die on this hill. Now make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Let's try to hit 1,000 likes as always. With that said, let's roll the intro, let's play the episode, let's start the recap. Okay, let's start with the top 5 leagues in Europe, the first one being the Italian Serie A. And again, I'm not saying the Italian Serie A is the best league in Europe, it's just the one that we choose to start with. With that said, let's go and talk about Christian Pulisic from Milan. And on Sunday, Pulisic started off the bench and was subbed in the 65th minute for Milan during their 1-0 win over Bologna. Pulisic came off the bench and essentially played as a second striker in a playmaking role. He had a lot of freedom to roam. He put a wonderful through ball to place Santi Gimenez on a 1v1 with the goalkeeper, and Santi Gimenez blew it. He hit the post. Of course he did. You know, it was kind of similar to what Pulisic did with Balogun during the US Men's National Team game against Japan, except for the fact that Balogun actually scored, unlike Gimenez. Pulisic also placed a perfect pass, a little bit of a lob pass to Nkunku, and got him on a 1v1 with the goalkeeper as well. He was able to draw a penalty kick that for some weird reason the VAR overturned the call on the field. It looked like a penalty to me, but they didn't call it for some reason. Just to make things short, Pulisic was the best offensive player for Milan this game, despite the limited minutes, in my humble opinion. Now, there were reports from Sky Sports saying that Pulisic came off the bench to rest because he had a long travel in the US Men's National Team camp, which is fine. I'm not a Milan fan. I don't really care. I want him to be well rested for the national team. But at the same time, a few days ago, there was a report, not really a report. This is what Allegri had to say. Literally Allegri speaking, but I'm going to say it in English. And he said, Pulisic as the sixth man, like in basketball, regardless of him, football today is played with 15 players. The 5 substitutions are decisive, because in the end, the changes are more decisive than the starters. In the last half an hour of matches, the matches change. Often, the most important points to reach our objectives come from those who play less. And listen, I don't really know what he meant by that. It kind of sounds like he's saying, oh, Pulisic's going to become a super sub. I doubt it. He still has been their best offensive player. He's been also their most consistent performer. He's very likely going to continue to be a starter. I don't really know what Allegri meant by that, but I guess we'll find out in the next few games if Pulisic became a super sub or not. I don't care too much because we know what he can do, and I want him fresh for the national team, but it'll be kind of weird to bench possibly your best player. Next up, we have Yunus Musa, not from Milan anymore, now from Atalanta. And on Sunday, Musa started off the bench and was subbed in the 76th minute for Atalanta during their 4-1 win over Lecce. And Musa played as a central midfielder, and he looked fine. He did alright. Now, keep in mind, he was subbed in when they already had a 4-0 lead. The game was essentially dead. And even though he played central, it does not mean they will utilize him there consistently. Keep in mind that Ederson is injured, and he is a locked-in starter for them at the 8th position. So we'll see. But the good news here is that he had just arrived at Atalanta and he already made his debut. Musa also did get an assist this game down the right flank. He hit a low cross, but he was offside. So the goal didn't count, and obviously the assist didn't count. But I thought that was important to mention. He did get an assist, or he got an assist. It just didn't count. Next up, we have Weston McKennie from Juventus. Then on Saturday, McKennie started and played 79 minutes for Juve during their massive 4-3 win over Inter. And let me tell you, what a game it was. It was the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. And this is what's weird. McKennie played like 2 minutes in the first 2 games of the season. Then, in an extremely tough matchup, maybe even one of the toughest matches during the entire season for Juve, he started for them. Every season, it's the same freaking crap. Juventus tries to get rid of Weston McKennie, they fail. He starts the season as a backup, and then when it matters, he becomes a starter for them once again. There has to be some bias against American players, or Juventus just does that so, McKennie can lose some weight. Otherwise, none of this makes any sense. Now, to be fair, McKennie did look very slim. He looked in great shape, actually. He played as a left wingback, and he had a fine game. In possession, he was alright, didn't make many mistakes, played it safe. But I mostly thought he did a very good job on defense for most of the game. I mean, he played almost 80 minutes. So overall, a very positive performance from Weston McKennie. Last but not least, in Italy, we have Ben Cremaschi that now plays for Parma. He stayed on the bench for them the full 90 minutes, but he literally just arrived. So let's be patient. He's also, I believe, 19. We'll see how it goes. He's not really a player that I rate very highly, but I like the fact that he took the challenge, and I want to see how this plays out. Okay, time to go to England and talk about the Americans in the English Premier League. The first one being Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. And on Saturday, Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 0-0 draw with Sunderland. Now, Palace was quite wasteful and probably should have won this game, but in regards to Chris Richards, he was quite good once again, and he helped them hold another clean sheet. Crystal Palace has only conceded 1 goal in 4 games. They have 1 win and 3 draws. They are currently undefeated in the Premier League. Now, I'm not going to be like the delusional US men's national team fans last season that were saying that A-Rob was the best left back in the Premier League or a top 3 left back in the Premier League, which quite honestly, he is not. But A-Rob and Chris Richards are both better than the average Premier League player in their position. That's my opinion on Richards. He ain't no average Premier League center back. He is a very good Premier League center back. Not top 3, not top 5, none of that. But he's a very good one and easily the best American center back right now. The same way Anthony Robinson is better than an average Premier League left back. He's a very good Premier League left back, but not a top 3. All right, speaking of Anthony Robinson, let's talk about him and Brendan Aronson because Fulham and Leeds clashed over the weekend. And on Saturday, Robinson stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 1-0 win over Leeds. I have to assume that has something to do with A-Rob's knee injury, right? He's probably still not 100%. He's recovering from the knee surgery he had back in May or June. So there's nothing to panic here. As for Brendan Aronson, he actually started for Leeds and played 77 minutes. When he left the game, it was still 0-0. Aronson also almost scored in the second half, but the goalkeeper made a save. I don't think there's much more to talk about in regards to his performance, and I will say that I don't think Aronson will continue to start for Leeds, but he should continue to consistently get minutes. And you should have already hit the like button by now in the video if you haven't already, and drop that random comment in the comment section down below explaining to us why the Backstreet Boys are better than the Beatles. Last but not least in England, we have Tyler Adams from Bournemouth. And on Saturday, Tyler started and played the full 90 minutes for Bournemouth during their 2-1 win over Brighton. And again, Tyler Adams had another great performance. And that's 3 wins and 1 loss in 4 games for Bournemouth, which honestly, I was a bit skeptical about them early in the season because their defense looked a bit shaky. But they've been good. That's a very good start to their Premier League season. Now, before we continue, we're going to put a quick word from the sponsor of this video, SoRare, because I am very close to having the funds to buy my Switch 2. This might be the last video before I get to buy it. So a quick word from the sponsor of this video, SoRare. The link to play is in the description of this video. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 60 seconds. If you like fantasy sports, I got the perfect one for you. Tactical Manager TV is partnering up once again with SoRare with a special offer. Just use the link in the description of this video. In SoRare, you can collect your own virtual cards of your favorite players. But why would you want to collect virtual cards? Because you can line them up on 5-a-side games every single week, and if the players perform in real life, you can win real money, unique experiences, signed jerseys, game tickets, or even more cards to improve your club. And SoRare doesn't only have soccer, they also have the NBA, and they have also Major League Baseball. Unlike other fantasy games where it's pay per play, in SoRare you pay to get the players you want permanently as cards, and then you can play multiple times using those cards until the player retires. And if you are new to SoRare, you can sign up with the link in the description of this video with a special offer. You will get a 50% bonus in your first few purchases up to $300 spent, which means if you use the link in the description and you never bought cards before, you will get 50% as credit up to $300 spent. So if you spend $300, you get $150 in credit. Essentially a $150 welcome bonus. Thank you very much, SoRare, for partnering up with Tactical Manager TV and sponsoring the channel. Oh hey, we're back, and hopefully you smashed the like button already. Let's talk now about the Americans in Germany that play in the Bundesliga. The first one being Malik Tillman from Bayer Leverkusen. And on Friday, Tillman started and played 62 minutes for Leverkusen during their 3-1 win over Eintracht Frankfurt. So let's keep this simple. This is a good win for Leverkusen. They really needed it, but also a game to forget for Malik Tillman. He had the body language of a basset hound during the game. It wasn't good. The dude looked like he was a little too, I guess, relaxed would be the word. I don't know, dude. Just look up a basset hound and you'll get what I'm saying. Next up, we have Cole Campbell from Borussia Dortmund. And on Saturday, Cole Campbell started off the bench and actually played, finally. He was subbed in the final 15 minutes when Dortmund had a 2-0 lead and was playing man up. The game ended with a 2-0 victory over Heidenheim. Okay, next up, we have the players that play for the other Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they are Joe Scally and Gio Reyna. And on Sunday, Reyna started, finally, and played 74 minutes for Gladbach during their embarrassing 4-0 loss to Werder Bremen. As for Joe Scally, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Gladbach. Well, we all know Gladbach was shit. Losing to Werder Bremen 4-0 is never a good look. But how did Gio Reyna do? And listen, anyone that watched the game will agree with me that Gio Reyna actually looked very good. He played well. It was a promising debut, an encouraging debut, despite Gladbach not being good at all. On the ball, Gio Reyna was great. He defended well when needed. I guess the only issue is that he still seems a bit reluctant to sprint. I mean, he ran a bit more than normal, but he doesn't seem to sprint. He also did look gassed after the 60th minute, but that's fine. He's getting his fitness back up. It's the first game he's played in a long time. I thought this was great. He got a lot of minutes. He looked great on the ball, showed that he can still, in fact, pick a pass. He essentially played like a player that belongs in a team that is a level or two above Borussia Mönchengladbach's current level, which, by the way, they're in the relegation zone right now. Now, this is very promising for the US men's national team, but let's hope he consistently does it, stays healthy, and starts getting a few goal contributions here and there. Essentially, what I'm saying is, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it looked good. Let's be happy. It looked very good. Next up, we have James Sands from St. Pauli and Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg because they clashed over the weekend. And on Sunday, James Sands started and played the full 90 minutes for St. Pauli during their 2-1 win over Augsburg in the Bundesliga. As for Noah Kai Banks, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Augsburg. Last but not least, we have Christopher Lund, the left back that plays for Cologne, also in the Bundesliga. And on Saturday, Christopher Lund started, once again, and played 78 minutes for Cologne during their 3-3 draw with Wolfsburg. Now we're going to leave Germany and go to Spain to talk about the Americans in La Liga. And actually, we only have one. His name is Johnny Cardoso, and he plays for Atletico Madrid. But this weekend, Johnny stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, so I got nothing to add there. That's it. And you may be wondering, was he benched? Is he actually benched by Diego Simeone? I don't know. Let's wait for the next few games. He started the first 2 or 3 games of the season, and then he was benched for this one. So the data still says that he's a starter, but we'll find out in the next few games. Next up, we have the Americans that play in France, in Liga. The first one being Balogun that plays for Monaco. And on Saturday, Balogun started and played 62 minutes for Monaco during their 2-1 win over Auxerre. That would be a great name for a deodorant brand, in my opinion. So Balogun actually got the assist for the goal scored by Minamino, which was the first goal scored by Monaco. And it was an assist. Because you know what happened? He kind of messed up the layoff, and then he was like falling and the ball hit the defender, and maybe he helped the ball reach Minamino for an easy finish. It wasn't a real assist, but it counted as an assist, and we're going to go with it. We're just going to count it as an assist. Don't get angry at me. I'm just telling you what happens. Regardless, Balogun remains, and he is the best center forward that we currently have. Next up, we have Tim Weah from Olympique Marseille. And on Friday, Weah started on the left wing and played 62 minutes for Marseille during their 4-0 win over Lorient. The opponent got an early red card in this game, which made it a very easy win for Marseille, but unfortunately, Tim Weah did not get any goal contributions. Next up, we have Mark McKenzie from Toulouse. And on Sunday, Mark McKenzie started and played the full 90 minutes once again for Toulouse during their 2-1 loss to Lille. Last but not least in France, we have Tanner Tessman from Lyon. And on Sunday, Tessman started once again and played the full 90 minutes for Lyon during their 3-1 loss to Reims. That's a pretty bad loss right there. Now, I didn't get to watch Tanner Tessman this weekend, even though I had watched his previous games, and you can let me know in the comment section down below how did he do. He has been quite good so far this season in a double pivot midfield, and some people told me he actually played well despite Lyon losing, but I didn't watch the game, so I have no opinion. I don't know how he did this weekend, unfortunately, because he's been quite good so far. Okay, time to leave France and go to the Netherlands and talk about the Americans in the Eredivisie, more specifically the ones that play for PSV. Their names are Ricardo Pepi and Serginho Dest. And on Saturday, Pepi and Dest both started for PSV during their 5-3 win over NEC. And you know what? For this game, both teams just didn't really feel like playing defense. They thought it wasn't needed. They just didn't want to do it. Pepi played 65 minutes, and this was his first start of the season, and it took him only 11 minutes to score. A very nice goal. A great turn, followed by a great finish. But wait, there's more, because Pepi's head game was on point. Because he scored a brace. The second goal was a very well-placed header from the American to score 2 goals and help PSV get this win. Welcome back, Ricardo Pepi. As for Serginho Dest, he played the full 90 minutes as a left back and he did very well. He even got an assist for PSV's second goal. It was not a great pass, it was okay, but the defender slipped, so it led to a 1v1 between Van Bommel and the goalkeeper, and Dest got the assist for that goal. Overall, it was a very good performance from both Americans, and they helped PSV get this 5-3 victory. Alright, time to leave the Netherlands and go back to the island, go back to England and talk about the Americans that play in the second division of England in the EFL Championship. The first one being Josh Sargent from Norwich and Haji Wright from Coventry because they clashed over the weekend. And on Saturday, Sargent started and played 84 minutes for Norwich during their 1-1 draw with Coventry. As for Haji Wright, he started and played the full 90 minutes for Coventry and even scored a somewhat of a tap-in during added time to tie the game. Now listen, Haji was better than Sargent, and both were playing as center forwards, even Haji Wright. Haji could have easily had a brace this game. But keep in mind that despite the score being 1-1, the overall game was very one-sided. Coventry completely dominated from start to finish, so there wasn't really much Sargent could have done. Yeah, I watched this entire game, and even when Norwich got the lead, it was a bit weird, right? Coventry completely outplayed Norwich, and that benefited Haji Wright, obviously. Now, if you ignore that context of it, yes, Haji Wright scored, Sargent didn't, and even in the game, Haji did outperform Sargent. Next up would have been Damian Downs, but he didn't even make the bench for Southampton this weekend. Not sure why, couldn't really find any reports, so it is what it is. So let's skip Damian Downs and talk about Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough. And on Saturday, Aidan Morris started and played the full 90 minutes for Middlesbrough during their 2-2 draw with Preston North End. Now Caleb Wiley from Watford, he's apparently still injured, but we had an American that made his debut in the EFL Championship. And he's a dear friend of the channel. We all love him very much. Actually, look, I know we make fun of him. We make a lot of fun of him because he's kind of clumsy. He's a little bit funny, but I'm rooting for the guy. And Ajiman made his debut for Derby County. He's back from injury and he played. And on Saturday, Ajiman was back from injury. He started off the bench and was subbed in the 69th minute. Nice. During Derby County's 1-0 win over West Brom. And Ajiman actually kind of played a big role in this win. While he was stumbling in the box, he kind of hit the ball to his teammate before falling, of course. That's what he does. He falls a lot. But his teammate got the ball, cut inside, and scored. So just like Balogun, Ajiman got an assist. I mean, it counts. And some are going to say I am a hater for saying it's not really an assist, even though I'm just calling a spade, and I did the same thing to Balogun. And I don't even care if people call me a hater anymore. You know who else they called a hater? Abe Lincoln, and he was fighting the racist, Gandhi, Bono, and even Harry Potter. But nevertheless, that's a pretty good start for Ajiman in the EFL Championship. We'll continue to keep track of him every single weekend. But in this same game, there was another American that played. And that's the American defender George Campbell. He actually started for West Brom and played the full 90 minutes during this 1-0 loss. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. I'm not going to be covering the Americans in Scotland this weekend because I didn't feel like doing it. That's all for today. Don't forget to drop a like. Thank you very much SoRare for sponsoring this video. And later this week, we might release a tactical video of like how we would want to set up the US men's national team, the different phases of play. Not that it really matters. Pochettino will do what he thinks, so it doesn't really matter, but I just thought it would be fun to do so. And that's all for today. I want to thank you all very much for watching and have a great day.